Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Indah, just call me Indah, and I'm from class 8 2020. Well, today in this afternoon, I wanna do my assessment, and the assessment that I wanna do is take a video. And in the video, I wanna take one title, and the title that I take it is How Children Learn Language. Well, we have a mind. In our mind, we have the means for producing and comprehending speech. But how did we come to have such ability? At pure, we cannot comprehend speech, nor can we produce speech. Yet, by the age of 4 years, we have a learning vocabulary and grammatical rules for creating a variety of sentence structure, including negative, question, and relative clauses. Next, the development of speech production. Part A. Vocalization to babbling. Prior to utterance speech sound, infant make a variety of sounds. Crying, cooing, goggling, infant every word seem to make the same variety of sound. Even children who are born deaf. The ability of proficiency to utter such sounds does appear to be unlearned. Part B. Bubbling to speech. It is from the advanced stage of babbling that children move into uttering their first word. Often this occurs at around 1 year of age, but can occur much earlier or much later. When children begin to utter words, somewhat surprisingly, only some of the sounds that they have uttered in babbling appear in speech. Part C. Explaining the acquisition order of consonant and vowels. In the meaningful speech phase, it appears that consonants are accurate in a front to back order, where from and back refer to origin of the articulation of the sound. Thus, M, P, B, T, and D tend to precede K and X. Conversely, vowels seem to be accurate in a back to front order, with A vowel and O tone preceding I, mid, and mood. Next, early speech tag, naming holopestic, telegraphic, and morphemic. Part A. Naming. One word utterance. When do children start to say their first word, it may surprise you learning that research on the basic question is not all conclusive. This is not only because there is a very wide range individual different, but also because the precise determination of just when a word has been learned is not easy to make and is not standardized. Part B. Holoprestic function. One word utterance, however, children don't only use single word to refer to object. They also use single word to express complex thought that involve that object. A young child who has lost its mother in a department store might cry out, "Mama, it's me, I want mama." Next, C. Telegraphic speech. Two and three word utterance children don't process as rapidly to two-word utterance as one might expect. Why this so be the case is a matter of conjecture, although it is our view that children must first become aware that ending word more. Well, next, part D. Morpheme acquisition. Once two and three word utterance have been acquired, children have something on which to elaborate. They start to add. They start to add function, word, and inflection to their utterance. Function word like the preposition in and on, the article they, a, and on, the modal can and will, and the auxiliary do, be, and have begin to appear together with inflections such as the plural S on cats and Z on dogs, and tense markings such as the T past tense from a worker. Part E. Later speech tag. Rule information for negative and other complex structure with the production of longer utterance, simple structure are elaborate to yield more complex ones. Negative sentence Negative sentence, question form, passive and relative clauses are just a few of the many complex rules that children acquire in their first 5 years. Next, negative formation. Negative development. Before presenting some of the accusation data concerning negation, it might be useful to review some of the features of the negation process. Negation is one of the earliest sentence structures occurred by children, according to the classic research of Klima and Delugia, and others will later replicate their work. There is consistent pattern in this with negation being occur in the mind period. Sample, sentence, and their analysis follow below for each period. Incidentally, these data are taken from the same their children who has a morpheme acquisition was described above in the Brown study. Well, next, the development of speech comprehension. Part E. Fetuses and speech input. Before dealing with newborn, let us look at research that is concerned with stimulating language development even before the child is born. Can speech sound reach the fetus while it's still in the uterus? When Queen et al. Put a microphone inside the uterus of a pregnant woman to see if speech sound could reach the ear of the fetus over the background sound of the woman's heartbeat and blood flow. Part B. Speech comprehension occurs without speech production. The case of mute hearing children, while the ability to utter speech in appropriate situation is a good indicator of language knowledge. The absence of the ability to produce speech may not indicate lack of language knowledge. Well, next, part C. In normal children, speech comprehension development in advance of speech production, the children are unable to utter word sentence for a purpose of communication without scanning or understanding, or speech could hardly be otherwise. Speech production lag behind speech comprehension. Part E. The Hutton-Locker study. Hutton-Locker study for young children aged 10 and 13 months over a 6-month period and found that they were able to comprehend speech at a level beyond that to which they had progressed in production. Well, next, part B, the Such and Truthful study. In another important study, Such and Truthful found the children who could only produce single word uttering, they were at the one worst stage of speech production. Nevertheless, could comprehend syntactic structure composite of more than one word. Firstly, a reading before speaking study. Parents have always noted that children are able to understand more than what the children are able to say. Well, next, the relationship of speech production, speech comprehension, and thought. Part A. Speech comprehension necessarily precedes speech production. In learning any of the world language, children must first be able to comprehend the meaning of the language before they themselves can produce it. Part B. Talk as the basis of speech comprehension. The meanings that underlie speech comprehension are concepts that are in a person's mind. Speech doesn't provide such a concept. Speech sound in theory are simply sound signifying nothing. The context of talk are provided by the child's experience of the environment. Well, next, parents and baby talk. Parents. Part A. Parentheses. During the 1916, Chomsky theorizing about innate language knowledge had a dampening effect on study of experiential input, but language and environmental with respect to the learning of language. Per B characteristic of parentage. Immediately as concordance, the speech that parents and others use in talking to children has a number of distinctive characteristics that evidently aid language learning. Per Z baby talk. Baby talk is a form of parentage but with its own characteristic, while to others adult baby talk involves the use of use of vocabulary and syntax that is every simply and reused. Well, next, parody, the effect of parents baby talk in language learning. Do parents and baby talk facilitate language learning? The study done on this question and demonstrate a positive but small effect. Newport et al. Other research also provides evidence that parents may be effective but only for children who are very young. Well, next, imitation, rule learning, and correction. Part A. What is learning by imitation? Many people believe that language is learning by imitation. By imitation, it is meant that a child copy and repeat about a lot the word that he or she hears. Part B. Producing by rule. The child production of certain novel, word, and sentence cannot be explained by imitation. For C, the frequent futility of correction. It used to be taught by many that the correction of children's speech is essential to improvement. Well, next, part G, learning abstract word. When acquiring the meaning of word, children begin with the meaning with the concrete and go on to the abstract. They begin with physical object, mama, dog, ball, table, and different activity, run, jump, play, give, then move to relation and statify on sitting. And the last is memory and logic in language learning. Part A, memory. Underlying all of the remarkable accomplishment of a child in language learning is one crucially important psychological factor that of memory for the course of learning to identify the word of the language, devising rule for their use, and relating speech to the environment and mind the child until a phenomenal memory capacity. Part B, logic. In learning language, the child must use both introduction and introduction in the analysis of word and sentence and the formulation of grammar and strangeness. Okay, I think this is my explanation about how children learn language. So if I have a mistake, I'm sorry because I just a human. So I am with the greeting. Wallahu muwaffiq ila aqwamit thariq. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.